Hey friends, welcome back to Trendy DIY 29, and I'm back with another video. In this video, guys, I'm going to give you a quick garden tour. We've been getting a lot of rain, and you guys know when it rains, the garden flourishes. So as you guys can see, the chamomile, I've already harvested a full batch and dried it for tea. So this is the second batch coming in, so I'm probably going to go ahead and harvest this. Over here, you can see I finally put in that midget cantaloupe. I wanted to see if I can train it to grow on my fence right here, but if not, I have about 3 more in the garden, so I'm not worried about it. The Chinese broccoli, as you can see, is starting to put on some small little broccoli heads, but I'm not sure what's really going on with it. And finally, my sweet alyssum, which I read attracts a lot of pollinators, has started to flower. So I'm going to be taking some of this out of my windowsill basket and putting it throughout the garden. That's the easy way, guys, if you know that you want multiple plants for throughout your garden. Instead of going and planting multiple plants all over your garden, you can plant them all in one location, and then when they get transplant size, you can just go ahead and dig the ones you want up and move them to their location, so you're not running around the garden trying to water like 8 different plants when you can just water one location. So right here, these are the collards. I just gave them some water and my drip irrigation is on now, so this should start to perking up a little bit. But these plants were only grown in here to be moved throughout the garden. There's about 6 collards in here, that's why they're not getting that big. So I'm going to have to take the time, separate the plants, and move them around the yard. Beautiful butter crunch lettuce, guys. It's still flourishing. This is multiple heads of lettuce, so if I wanted, I could separate them and to get full heads, but I think that they're okay in this container, and they still have not bolted. They were planted out around the same time as the arugula, the merlot, what else, and the oak leaf lettuce. But the oak leaf lettuce was the only one that was brought from transplant. Next, guys, this is an experiment. This is, believe it or not, a red raspberry bush that I got for half off at Lowe's. Now, when I brought it, it started sprouting. It had green leaves on it, but I left it outside. All the leaves died. So I got my fingers crossed that this will grow. So right now, I just got it in a good mixture of compost, moisture-saving soil, as well as blood meal, bone meal, and there's a little bit of fish emulsion in there as well. I also put a soil conditioner in there, so I tried to give it the most, but only thing that I don't have is some type of berry tone or soil acidifier. If you guys are wondering what this is a really cool contraption you can get from Home Depot or Lowe's. This is the first year I'm actually trying to use it. Let me see if I can focus in. But it's basically a 3-way meter. It reads the alkalinity, or like the pH of your soil. It also reads the moisture of your soil, and it also reads how much sunlight that one particular area or planter gets. So you can really use this to help figure out where to plant what if you're dealing with a little bit of space. But I'm just going to put that in there. Over here, I have some lettuce leaf basil. For some reason, the lettuce leaf basil, all the plants died. A lot of them have really bad insect damage. This is the only one that somewhat is okay. And looks like there's maybe 3 plants in there. So hopefully I will get something to make those chicken wraps that I thought that I was going to be making with this. Over here, guys, you can see these are collards as well, Georgia collards. They do well in the heat. They're a little bit wrinkly. When you see plants wrinkle, it's normally because of a fluctuation in temperature. So say if it was a really, really hot day and then it dropped drastically down to a cool night, your leaves will tend to curl. Also, if you're not watering your plants enough, they will tend to curl in order to try to retain moisture. So if you see curling and you know that you've watered your plants consistently, then it's probably not the watering issue. Also, aphids or any type of insects chewing on your plant can also make your leaves wrinkle up and curl like this. But I'm pretty sure that this is because of a temperature fluctuation, because if you can see, my plant has dust on it, which is 7 dust. It's not organic, but I was just so tired of the pest that I will ever so often use non-organic things in my garden, but the majority of the time I use organic gardening as much as possible. Over here, guys, I'm not sure what this is. I think it's a weed, so I was going to pull it out, but then to me it looks like it could be a pepper. So I don't know. So I said I'm just going to leave that in there for a little bit and see what it is. Down here is kohlrabi. It's entirely too hot for kohlrabi, so I'm just going to pull this out. So basically this whole bed needs to be planted. I'm probably going to move the collards in here, but I always grow collards and kales in here, and you want to steer away from growing the same thing in the same pot for multiple years. Right here I have some curly kale. It did have some insect damage, but it got the dust and it looks like it's flourishing. So I got to fill this bin back up, guys. Look how good that the scallions that I got from the grocery store are doing. They're magnificent. And if you guys look down, they're getting really strong and sturdy at the bottom. My rosemary is slowly but surely coming back, but it's getting shaded out. Back here, guys, you can see I'm getting some tomatoes. This is the black cherry tomato. It's supposed to be very, very prolific. So I know that I'm going to be fighting with this thing to try to contain it into this small little container. So I normally just weave it up here, add bamboo sticks, and then just tie it off. So, and keep the plant at a certain size. So I will be trimming this plant a lot. Another batch of the oak leaf lettuce has came in. That's a full head. And this is a second head that's forming. Down here, I started some slow bulk lettuce. So I just seeded a whole bunch. And then once they get an okay size, I'm going to separate them. And I'll probably sell those at my plant sale. And then right here, this monstrosity, guys. This is the royal burgundy bean. It's a beautiful bean. I did not know what to plant in here. So I just threw a whole bunch of these beans in here because I knew beans grow fast. They'll produce a lot of food. So I'm not even sure how many is in here, but there's royal burgundy beans. And as you guys can see, it has pods, so it should be producing soon. So I'm excited. And do not ask me why, but there's a habanada hiding in here. This is kind of like a panic box. I panic with certain plants because they look sick. And sometimes if your plants just seem so sick and they're in pots, a lot of times you have to move it out of that pot and put it into a new home and it will recover. So a lot of the sicker plants, like that pepper was pretty sick. I went ahead and threw that in here. And it's coming back good. And it also has shade from the beans. So hopefully once the beans produce, I can rip them out before the pepper doesn't produce. Over here, you guys can see I have a ton of tomato flowers on this thing. And this is my big rainbow. I'm really excited because the big rainbow can get over 16-ounce fruits. I have one setting right there. And even the baby fruits to me look pretty large. Down here, guys, I also went in and threw some seeds of Genovese basil. So that's growing back there because people have been asking me for herbs. So if you are interested in getting herbs and you are looking at my video and you went to one of my plant sales, I will be out again and I will be having herbs as well as some extra different varieties that I didn't have the last time. This is the pepper bed, guys. It's very compact, but if you look in, they do have space. But right here is my Lesia pepper, which is growing really nicely. You guys can see that beautiful pointed type pepper. I'm trying to get it to focus. But right here, it's a beautiful pointed pepper. I'm really excited about that. This is another Lesia. It's a little bit slower than that one, which is no problem. Over here, I have, these are the grand bell peppers. The plant is not as stocky and strong as I would like it, so I'm definitely going to have to go in with some stakes. This is another grand bell. Got pretty tall, flowers on there. In the middle, you can always count on a cayenne. If you want peppers and you like spicy, this thing has cayennes all over it already. And I planted that in the middle because from experience, cayennes to me tend to grow tall and like skinny, but I did top my plants off, which helps them, encourages them to bush out. Over here, guys, you can see that corbachi is down there. Look at that baby. I love how swirly they are. Look at that. Corbachi was the very first pepper to produce, so I would recommend them. I don't know what happened, guys, but I got disconnected. But look at all the beans. And I overseeded this inside of a pond that I got from Home Depot. So you can grow in a lot of different things, guys. This is the borage. I literally just planted this on the 2nd. So what is that, like 8 or 9 days ago? And I have a lot of borage plants coming in. These will be separated and sold as well. And a lot of these will go throughout my garden. This is an eggplant. It's been dusted because it was getting attacked by flea beetles. But this is the Rosita eggplant, and I had to move it so it can get more sun, and it's literally doubled in size since I've moved it. Because it was being shaded by this massive echinacea, people. Look how big that echinacea is. This is I want to say this is the second year. And I want you guys to see how many blooms. And check out, please, if you have not, check out my video last year of my garden so you guys can see how small this plant was. Beautiful echinacea. And look at all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, it's blooming, guys, all the way even down into the plant. Look, 9. So this whole thing, last year I just got flowers on top. But this year I'm going to have flowers all throughout. It's going to be beautiful. And that is the first one to set. So I'm just going to leave it alone because the bees are fighting over it. So I'm just going to leave it out here. And once I get a lot of flowers, I'm going to start to harvest. And I might be harvesting the root of one of my echinacea plants at the end of the year. But I still want to do some research because I want to make sure that I'm not going to kill the other ones by uprooting the other ones since they're so tightly compacted together. But the Rosita eggplant, guys, I'm really excited over that. And this is, I'm super like livid and excited. This thing is growing crazy. If you guys can see, it's growing out of the cage. I keep trying to like tuck it under and tie it. But this thing is covered in flowers. I want you guys to see just how many flowers. Oh, it's trying to show you guys how many flowers. It's kind of blurry. I'm trying to make it unblurry, but my phone is acting stupid. But you can see, and these are the mushroom baskets. There's more flowers up there. More flowers. Look, there's more fruit that's setting right here. Over here, more fruit and flowers. This thing, guys, is loaded. This is the biggest one, so I feel like this one's gonna ripen first. Let me see. All right, here. And look, you can actually see the flutedness of the tomato. It's cute. I don't want to break it. But this also, I believe that I may have planted. Oh yeah, there's a lettuce leaf basil under here. It's struggling. Over here, guys, in the front, I got my purple rain, which is a dwarf, a smaller variety, not really dwarf. It gets about 3 feet tall, and this thing has a lot of flowers on it as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. The cosmos I grew in the front. I did not realize they were gonna get this big, but I have beautiful cosmos. Cosmos grow really fast, so if you guys want some flowers in your yard and you don't have any yet, go get a pack of cosmos. They grow in about 25 to 35 days from seed. This one just keeps leaning, guys, and I don't know why. Over here, I finally cleaned out the lavender, and look what happened as soon as I took out all the weeds. Here goes another weed. Now I actually have my first lavender flower. You see my cat, he's hot. He always wants to beg to go back in the house once I film a video, so he has to wait. This is the double pinks imperial. It bloomed for a little while, and now I'm not getting any blooms. But I said I'm just going to leave it there. I don't really know much about this plant, and I couldn't really find much on it online. So I'm just going to let it do its thing because it still seems like it's healthy. I just went ahead and cut off all the blossoms that look dead to me. Over here, that's the peppermint. It comes back every year. I really don't have to do anything to it. You just leave it. I did dig up a lot of the roots and repotted them so that I can sell peppermint. And guys, look at the corn. My corn finally has tassels, man. It got to the point that I was scared that nothing was going to happen because I don't have no experience with corn. This was just, you know what, I'm going to throw the seeds in and see what happened. I overseeded it because I know it needs to be close to have pollination, and I did not want to plant this in ground. But if you guys look closely, you can see that the corn is starting to set corn cobs. That's the silk. Every silk right here, every one of these little silk hairs is one individual corn kernel. So the more silks you see, you know that your corn is filling out. Up here you have your pollen, which is, this is like the male reproductive part of your corn. And then down here, the cob part, that's a larger one. This cob part is actually the reproduction organ of the female. And what happens is the pollen from the wind falls down onto that and it pollinates and it makes our corn. So I'm really excited. I have a lot of little corn cobs on there. Not sure how good it's gonna do, but to be honest, guys, if I just get one ear of corn that's sweet that I grew myself, it will give me the confidence to do it again next year. So I'm just hoping to just get something edible. Right here, this is the black brandywine, and this one blew my mind because this one is covered in flowers. Like literally, it is covered. And then here goes a tomato already right here, but this one's covered in flowers. If you guys know, it grew so much before I started to like trim it off that I didn't have the heart to cut it down, because normally I like to do no more than 2 stems, 3 stems tops, but I didn't have the heart to cut it down. So this one is probably going to take a while to produce because I left so many growing shoots. The more growing shoots that you leave on a tomato plant, the longer it's going to take to produce. So if you want your tomatoes to come in a little bit earlier, as we all know, heirloom tomatoes take long, period. But to make your tomatoes come a little bit faster, what you can do is you can trim it all off. You see this main stem right here? You would just trim off this, cut that off, cut this off. You could cut this off, cut this off, and just leave this one stem. And you could, if you wanted, to leave that little Y shape and just keep those 2 stems. And then once you get those 2 stems, you will go around and just snip off all of the flowers that are not connected to those stems, and then you'd be good. But what I want to do, guys, is come out with some mesh bags and cover a lot of these blossoms. Like when they're closed like this, if you cover them with a mesh bag and you just give them a few shakes every few days, once the fruit sets, you can guarantee that if you plant the seeds from that fruit that was covered, that it will grow true to type. Because tomatoes, they can cross-pollinate. It's rare, but it happens. So to guarantee to get true to type, just cover them with a mesh bag. Once your tomatoes start to develop, you can take the bag off, tie a string around your tomato so you can remember that that's the tomato that you need to get the seeds from. These are the beautiful cherry jewel rose nasturtiums, guys. They look like velvet. What I want to do is come in here and trim back a lot of these the greenery so you can really see the flowers. But yeah, another thing that's really cool too, guys, is the nasturtium pods right here. You can actually pick the pods and pickle them, and they actually call them the poor man capers. And capers is really good to use in like chicken piccata. That's like the only dish that I make that takes capers. So chicken piccata, you can look that up and you can use these as the poor man capers. I just found that out, so I'm going to try that out and maybe I'll make a video on it. Down here, I didn't have a place to put them, but these are the Matsumoto 100-day asters. That's what they are. But I feel like they're getting too much shade, so I need to pull these back. But the pink cherry rose jewel ones, I feel like they're loaded with more flowers than the orange ones. But the lily pad leaves, I feel like, are not as big as the ones from last year. And in there as well, guys, I have Brussels sprouts growing. Nothing has came up yet. I just wanted to get a head start. Brussels sprouts is a cool weather plant, but I just wanted to get it started in the garden. Down here, above this, underneath this leaf, is the Merlot lettuce. It still has not bolted, so this would be my go-to lettuce, guys, for anybody that lives in a hot climate. Merlot lettuce, oak leaf lettuce, and butter crunch. Right here, now this thing looks like it's gonna get big because you guys can see it's starting to stretch out of its square. That's the only thing about square foot gardening. They want to get out of their square. But I can see vines and stuff. So I have a TP thing in my house that I built a few years ago for winter squash. I might have to end up setting it up over here. But this is the Table Queen acorn squash. And I love acorn squash. To me, it tastes like a cross between acorn squash and sweet potatoes. That's what they taste like to me. So, and they're really, really good. And like Jamaican stewed fish. I'll probably be making a video when I make that. But it's coming in. And I have a lot of mushrooms growing too. I truly believe it's the vermiculite. Because every place I use vermiculite in my garden, I've gotten mushrooms. It's just annoying, but I like to pull them out because the mushrooms could be stealing nutrients from your plants. And it's really hard to get rid of mushrooms because I want to say their spores spread through wind. But right here, these are the sugar snap peas. I just recently harvested all of them off, but I'm getting peas maybe every 2 to 3 days. I come out here, I pick a handful off of all my plants. So next year I will be growing a whole entire wall of these things. I'll probably be growing some more come August to get them started so I can have a fall harvest. In the back, that was a Federally tomato. It was sick. It's a paste tomato. They get up to like 7 inches long, I want to say. And I've never grown it before. It has this silvery type of leaf. Kind of pretty cool. Over there, that is an Inspire cantaloupe. It's actually supposed to be a small cantaloupe, and it's a hybrid. So I just was curious. I always wanted to grow fruit in my garden. That's why you guys see this year I have cantaloupe, watermelon, raspberries. Hopefully they work out. But yeah, cantaloupe, watermelon, raspberries. And I also have some strawberry alpine seeds. I may be sowing them indoors. I'm not sure yet. Over here, guys, I have the gray zucchini. And the gray zucchini, guys, I actually had more of them in here, and they actually transplant it really well. The gray zucchini, the cantaloupe, and the sugar baby watermelon, I dug up the extras that grew since all the seeds sprouted, and I potted them up to be sold, and they did not die. So I'm starting to rethink my views on how you can't move certain plants or their roots can't be disturbed. Now, the cucumber plants that I moved, they died. So cucumber plants, I will never try to move them again. Good thing that I have backups. Up here, guys, this is a round zucchini, and if you guys can see, it's 2 plants. I need to try to dig one plant up without bothering the other plant and leave the bigger one. But the round zucchini is one of the zucchinis that grow the fastest, and they're little circular green striped zucchinis. And I want to stuff them with like ground beef, and like fresh tomatoes and cheese and stuff, almost like how you stuff a bell pepper. So I think that would be good. This is the sugar baby watermelon, guys. Over here, finally, this is my first time ever growing okra. This is a Clemson spineless okra. I chose to grow it just because it's the most popular okra. I only use okra in gumbo, and then in certain Jamaican dishes like that stewed fish, I use okra in that too. And I wanted to try fried okra, so that's what I'm growing one okra plant for. Hopefully, they say that okra produces a lot, so I was like, okay, I'm only gonna grow one plant. I'm trying to get away from growing stuff that I'm not going to eat. So I always ask myself, what are you going to make with it before I even grow it? That's a good habit to get into. As I step behind here, let me see, is there any peas forming? Oh yeah, here goes some peas forming. These must be the smaller ones that I left on last night. But you can actually eat them at any size, I found. They're really good. And you can also eat the little pea pods and the pea shoots. Those are delicious too. This is just a pot that I didn't know what to do, so I just added more peppers. I'm going to have a ton of corbachis. This is a corbachi pepper, which is a sweet pepper, and it's loaded with peppers. And if you ask me, it's one of the biggest, sturdiest, healthiest corbachis out of all the ones that I have. And then next to the corbachi, I have a YOLO Wonder. And I only have one other YOLO Wonder that's in my green stock. And I'm not sure how that's going to do, but I want to get a YOLO Wonder, another one planted out, as well as my California Wonder peppers. They're somewhat grown like transplant size, so I'm gonna have to figure out where to put those. And guys, look at my this is a dwarf variety of sunflower, and this is the teddy bear sunflower, so it does not have that big seed middle. But look at that sunflower. Look how beautiful sunflowers are, man. You can see the water, the dew just sitting in there. And like I said, I'm going to probably transplant a few of these. And I may sell these. So I might take 2 of these out. And I have another one growing in my hanging basket. And I may sell these. Because it looks like that it's going to grow more than one per flower. Because see, there goes one. And then here goes one. So I'm guessing that this one plant is going to do multiple sunflowers, like clusters, not just one full one. So I'll be able to sell these, and I have some really nice pots in my house, so I'm thinking about doing that. And guys, grand finale, I have a new thing in the garden. As you guys can see, I went out and got another cattle panel. This is a 16-foot cattle panel. It's 50 inches wide. It's the same one that I built my arch trellis with. But this one, we just did it on, these are 8-foot T-posts, I want to say, no, 7-foot T-posts. And we added them on with some wire and zip ties. We held it on with zip ties first to get it held on, and then he went in with the T-post clips to secure it. He secured it in 3 different spaces. And this is Tomato Alley. Everything is growing nicely along Tomato Alley. This is kind of hard to film because it's a skinny little alleyway. But down there, guys, you got, those are the black brandywines. I got 2 of those. Step over my spine, Clemson spineless. Right here, guys, I have 3 Dr. Witchies or Weiches. And the Dr. Weiches, guys, you can see they're the biggest. They're the biggest, and they look like they have the most flowers and stuff. So I'm really excited. And I went ahead and trimmed a lot of them down. But if you guys can see, this one still has like 3 more stalks. I'm probably going to go in with some scissors and cut this down even more, because I don't want the tomatoes to be developing on the front, because they'll rip the plant off the fence. So I'm going to try to make sure that the tomatoes are going to be developing where the stems can actually be tied up to this cattle panel. And when I attached the cattle panel, I attached it about 10 inches, about a foot. I want it above the ground, because you want to give your tomatoes, since these are indeterminate varieties, enough space that they can actually grow up and tall and don't run out of cattle panel too fast. If you would have grown this and the cattle panel was on the ground, then your tomatoes would have grew above your cattle panel in no time. So make sure that when you grow with a cattle panel this way, you leave that space like you guys see right there. But yeah, believe it or not, the freaking red spinach, red cabbage is just holding on. I just have it in here because I didn't have the heart to rip it out, but it won't go to seed because I was trying to just get seeds from it. All right, as I move down, we have that's another Dr. Witchy or Weiches. Right here, guys, this is what I call the mystery tomato. It did not have a label on it. It was not labeled. So I don't know what this tomato is. So it's going to be fun to watch this grow and produce to see what it is. I think that it could potentially be a pink brandywine, but I'm not sure. Right here, I have a pink brandywine, so they look similar. That's why I think they are, because they're potato leaf varieties. Next to it, I have another Federally. It's way smaller. It looks like it's stunted, but I threw it in the ground. This is the black cherry. Look how vigorous this black cherry is compared to the one in the box. So grown in the ground, you do get a bigger production from your plants, and I want to say a faster production, if anything. And it gets a really good amount of sunlight. So I'm expecting the ones that are behind the green stalk are not going to get as much sunlight, so I expect them to ripen later on in the season. I put large rib Swiss chard right here. Hasn't came up yet. Another Federally. Bee balm seeds are right here. This is a Berries Crazy Cherry. That's another Berries Crazy Cherry that I thought was going to die, but it didn't. Right here is the yellow pear. All of them died besides that one, so hopefully I just get to experience that tomato. Right here, I just planted Malabar spinach. And then here, I planted this is another big rainbow variety, because one got broke off. This is another suspect tomato. Guys, I actually found a mushroom basket that survived. So I got 2 mushroom baskets. There's one right here. And then at the very end, I threw in a rampicante squash because they get really big. And I'm thinking this should be enough space to hold it up there if I just trim it and keep it small. And then I added some cactus zinnias and some mixed cut flower seeds. Hopefully that fills out really good there. This is the plant table, guys. So you can see I got to get some of these sold. Like, it's producing. The black cherry is just producing crazy. I gave a lot of them fish emulsion. I hit them with a strong Miracle Grow because the fish emulsion was not working. And this is some basil that I brought that was on sale, as well as some German thyme that I brought that was on sale. I'm going to separate those and make them into individual plants. And this, guys, is the peppermint I told you that I dug up to sell. And then I got one big one. I might dig up more. It's really hot out here, guys. Seriously. Thousand Head kale coming in good. I want to take it and move it throughout the yard. Green Beauty. It looks like it's about to put on some flowers. Rampicante. The smaller one right there is a Dixie hybrid. And I'm really looking forward, guys. This is Resina calendula, which is the calendula that has the most skincare properties. So I'm hoping to grow a whole bunch of this throughout the garden so I can dry a lot of it for my bath salts and skincare stuff that I sell on my website. If you have not checked that out, check it out. It's www.creativejourney29.com. So, and over here is a super sweet 100. I did not have one of these, and I grew a whole bunch of them, and they finally came up. I thought they were going to die, and now I got a whole bunch of super sweet 100. So, of course, I have to have at least one. But I plan on growing more after I watch the reviews. This is the Green Beauty, which is the very large, flat type of pea. It's basically like a Chinese flat snow pea that you can find in like Chinese food, but this one gets very large. It's very tasty. Cherry Rose Jewels again. Well, look, guys, I must have forgot, but right here, there's a freaking dwarf sunflower growing in here, so I'm probably going to dig that out and sell that one as well. Midget Cantaloupe is producing 3 Taiwan long beans because I heard they get crazy and you don't need that many plants. The white cucumber, bouquet dill that needs to get broken up. Lemon cucumbers, which are tall. They're the tallest so far. I have a white wonder cucumber. And then at the end, Kentucky wonder beans. So as you guys can see, you can fit a lot into a small garden. This is a normal size garden of a normal size backyard. Right here is beautiful. And this is the Chinese eggplant. So I'm really looking forward to it as flowers. So eggplants are going to be growing soon. The very first Scabiosa zinnia. Look how pretty that is. And I have more. This one looks like it's going to be a pink one. So I love that. They're beautiful. And then last but not least, guys, let's get to the green stalk. The green stalk is always a lot. And I try to make my garden videos not that long, but guys, let's be real. I have a lot of plants, a lot of different varieties, so it's really hard to get through a garden tour like under 30 minutes. But this is that regular Tam jalapeno. It's producing wonderfully. Tam jalapenos are just like a classic jalapeno. My Boko spinach, nothing has sprouted or came up yet, so I'm not sure. This is my regular cilantro. It went to seed, but I'm leaving it for the pollinators. And then I have a slow bolt cilantro, which has just came in. So make sure you succession sow, guys. Down here, more corbachis. More corbachi peppers. This is the green apple cucumber. Growing up, so this probably is going to be my first cucumber. California Wonder. Red Ace beets. Is probably too late to get a beet, but I probably can use beet greens. The kohlrabi never formed a head. It got too hot, so I need to rip this out. Merlot lettuce still going strong. And these guys are my Uzbek golden carrots. They're growing great. The little fingers are growing great. Down here, guys, this is all of the dragon tongue beans. There's no beans on here yet, but there's some flowers, so they're coming. Potatoes, 3 different varieties. I have a blue potato, a red potato, and a russet. They're doing well. Down here hiding is a Cubanelle, which is the only one in the yard. Alesia. This is the biggest one that I have. A Hungarian yellow wax. And these are the orange hats. I think it's too hot up here, so I'm thinking about digging these out and moving them. My sage is finally in. Cat is hot, so I gotta let him in the house, guys. Look at, isn't he cute? And these are just more of the plants. So this is the garden tour, guys. I gotta get to picking those Calima beans. And I'm also started more cucumbers and some kale inside under the grow lights. So I'll be sharing that with you guys shortly. So make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe, and I will be back with another video.